this is Shanko, and in this video I'm going to create a simple Spring API. So if you're not already familiar with Spring annotations and Spring Data JPA, I would recommend you to pause this video and take a look at my other videos where I talk about Spring Data JPA and Spring annotations, and I would put the links in the description box below. So in this video, I'm gonna create a simple Spring API and test it using Postman. So let's imagine that we are trying to create a software for a library, and we have a resource called book. So book is a resource, and we are trying to create an API to get details about book. So let's get started by creating a Spring Starter project. And I'm going to call this book service. And I'm going to say say library. Say book service, and I'm going to click on next. I'm going to select H2 database. So that's an in-memory database, and the database starts when we start the application and it stops when we stop the application. So for a demonstration purpose, I think H2 database is just fine. And then we are going to select web, and we're going to select JPA. So if you don't find these options here, you can just type in here like web, and you'd find web. So if you type in H2, I'll just get these things. So, and then I'm going to click on finish. Okay, so first I'm going to create the entity class for book, the Pojo class. So let's create a new class called book, and let's put it inside com.library.model package. Click on finish. So this is our Hibernate entity class. So I'm gonna annotate this as entity. Java X persistence. I'll select this, and let's have some fields inside this class, and let's have say a book ID. So private int, I'm gonna say book ID, and let's have private string author, and let's have private string name. There's the name of the book. So I'm going to generate getters and setters with these fields. Generate getters and setters, select all, click on OK. Next, I'm going to annotate this as ID, and I'm going to add another annotation for column, and I'm going to say name equals to book underscore ID. So basically this is the object class, or this is the entity class for the table called book that we're going to have inside our database. and this annotation here column means that we are trying to map this field in our class called book ID to a field or to a column called book underscore ID in our database. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the other fields as well. So I'm gonna say column name equals to author, and I'm gonna say this as column name equals to book name underscore name. So for the time being, let's just have these three fields, and next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new file inside resources, and I'm gonna select a new file, general file, and I'm gonna name this data.sql. So basically what this is going to do is every time our application starts, whatever commands we write, whatever SQL queries we write inside this data.sql file, it is going to try to run those commands. And basically what I'm going to do here is insert some rows for our book details inside a database. So insert into book values. Say I'm gonna say book ID as 1, and then author as author 1, and then book name as book. Right, so author 1 and the book name as book name 1. And let's just have 2 more books inside our database. So just gonna copy this and paste it here, change the values, say 2, say 3. I'm gonna say this author 2, author 3. I'm gonna call this book 2 and book 3. Alright, so let's save this file and close it. Okay, so at the start of the application, when the application starts, Hibernate is automatically gonna look for this table into the database, inside the database, and if it doesn't find one, it's gonna create a new table, and whatever data we set here, whatever commands or whatever queries we put here, it's gonna try to run those. And here we're just going to insert records into the book table. So that's what it is going to do. Next, I'm going to create the DAO layer. So let me have an interface called book repository, and let me put it inside com.library.dao package, and let me add an interface called JPA repository, and let's have the type as book and the ID as integer. Let's click finish. Let's get book imported. So let's import book, and let's provide a method. Let's say list of book, say find all. Let's import list. So this is not a normal method. This is called a query method, and implementation for this is going to be provided by Spring. So if you're not already familiar with Spring Data JPA, I would recommend you to look up what Spring Data JPA is, and there's a video that I have created, and I put the link in the description below for Spring Data JPA. I would recommend you to check that out first to get an idea of what Spring Data JPA is. So this is a query method, and Spring is going to provide an implementation for this interface. We're not going to provide any implementation. So let's annotate this as repository. And next up, we're going to create the service layer. So let's create an interface called book service. Let's put it inside service package. Click on finish, and I'm gonna say list of books and get all books. Organize the imports. Okay. Now let's provide an implementation for this service. So let's create a new class and call it book service IMPL. Let's add book service interface. Click on finish, and I'm going to annotate this as service. And I'm going to auto wire. I'm going to auto wire a book repository here. I'm going to say book repository, and let's return, let's say book repository, and I'm going to say return book repository dot find all. Alright, now let's create our controller class. Let's call this book controller, and I'm going to create this inside com.library.controller package. Finish, and I'm going to annotate this as REST controller, and I'm going to auto wire a book service, and say book service, and then let's have a request mapping here. And let's set the path as /API/v1/book. Alright, let's have a get mapping here and say produces equals to application/JSON, and then I'm going to say public list book get all books. I'm going to say book service, return book service dot get all books, else do we need? All right, in the application properties, let's set the server.port. Say 8181, and let's set the application name as, say, book service. Okay, what did we do? So first we created the model. First we created our entity class called book, and we put three fields inside this class called book ID, author, and name. There is a name of the book. And then we created this data.sql file where we insert three book records into our database. And then we created the DAO layer. Created this interface called book repository, and it extends JPA repository, and we set the type as book and the ID as integer, and we provided this query method called findAll, and then we had our service layer built. So first we created this interface called book service, which had a simple abstract method called getAllBooks, and then we provided an implementation for this interface called book service, where we call the repository, where we auto-wired the repository, Spring repository, and we call the findAll method to get all the books, and then we set up our controller, and we set the request mapping for this controller as /API/v1/book, and then we provided a mapping, and we set this method called getAllBooks, which basically fetches all the books from our database. So let's run this project as Spring Boot app. Right, in the meantime, let's just set up our URL in Postman. So I'm going to say localhost. I'm going to say localhost 8181/API/v1/book, and I'm gonna wait for the application to start. Okay, it's already there, it's already started. I'm gonna click on send. Okay, so we get the details of all the books that we had inserted into our database. So this is a very basic example of how we can create an API using Spring, and Spring is a lot powerful than this and can do a lot of other things than this. This is just a starter video for getting started with Spring and Spring APIs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.